Welcome to Chatterbox Radio. Sometimes things go your way. Sometimes they don't. Life, kids, heaven. It's quite the journey. We hope you'll join us.
Well, look who I have here today. Yay! Hello. KG and CF. Another Keri.
The Keri.
Except she spells her name way cooler than me. I've always told her that. I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy you're here.
Me too.
And you've been through a lot as well. And I think it was just all about the timing that we needed
Absolutely.
to get here to this moment. And we've had dinner, couples dinner. We've talked through a lot of things in the past. And we could sit here and talk about a whole bunch of different things because I'm like swirling in my mind. Oh, what about this? And what about yesterday? And all that. But I want to go ahead and just ask the hard questions right now.
Dive right in. I'm ready for them.
So for the mental health issues that you all have been through, you went through this with your husband,
right?
Who is also named Keri.
Yes.
And it was a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago.
It started, it started 2 years ago in August. So, yes, 2021 was.
So tell me about the beginning. Like, I remember him saying y'all were sitting in a parking lot, just had dinner, and everything was fine.
Yeah, we literally went from 1 minute of having a date that was like just such a fun date. We had connected well. We were having a lot of fun. He had tried new food that he usually, he's not picky, but necessarily he just like, he didn't like sushi, but he had been so sweet that night, and he was like, I know you love sushi, let's go have sushi, and so, and he ended up loving it. Like, it was just a great night. And honestly, within like 10 minutes from that parking lot to the drive home, like, there was just such a shift in him, and he was experiencing some pretty extreme anxiety and
like the things he was saying, his gestures, like was he all of a sudden becoming nervous or shaky? Like, what were the signs?
Yeah, it was more just like I mean, like, I was ready to make out, I'm like like, we were just connected, and he just was like, I don't feel right. And like, just kind of like, from my point of view, it just felt like kind of like a bummer. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you were just okay? Good. Like, what? I don't understand. And he was just like, I just feel really anxious, and like, he just couldn't shake it. And I had just being honest from like my point of view, so he has a personality that is very detailed. He was or he still is. I mean, he's just a very regimented, like I could know routine. I could know what he's doing and where he's at almost any point of the day. And that's a thing that I love about him. Like, it provides so much security for me.
Know.
Like, I love that part of his personality, and it makes him a very safe person. But for a free-spirited person like me, it could also make me a little frustrated. I'm like, I would want him to
loosen up a little bit, have some fun.
Yeah. So in that moment, I felt like something like that was happening. I had no idea what was, about to come. So I was a little like harsh, I would say. I was just like, I wasn't tender and like, hey, like, I'm sorry, like, what's going on? I was just kind of like pretty like irritated that
we're having a fun time and you're just spoiling this party right now.
Yeah, I was like, I just don't understand what just happened, So also part of the story is that we had this, if anyone knows us, knows that we move around a lot. We're always up for like adventures and different things like that. So we had this great idea, because he works all over Texas, that we would have we sold like our big house, and we had 2 apartments, one in the Dallas area and one in Austin, and we were kind of both going back and forth, but it was creating a little bit of separation more than we had ever had, because there were days that we were not in the same city, and
because he drives a lot in pharmaceutical sales, right?
Yes, medical. So we were in that state, and for me, it didn't affect me. I stayed pretty busy, and I was honestly, every time I saw him, I was like twice as excited to see him because we were having some of the distance.
Yeah.
For him, that part was a little harder because when he was away, he wasn't with his family. So we still had one daughter living at home. So I say all that background to say that in that moment when all of that's happening, and then I did not handle it well because I thought it was, just something else. And so then the next day he was going back, he was traveling back to Austin, and I was staying there. And so that was kind of the progression when it really like started to hit. He got home and he was by himself for several days, and he just began to have like these very intrusive thoughts, just constant, and he couldn't shake it. And he kept calling me, and he's like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't shake this. And, and I'm still like, I feel like you're just being like obsessive, like just let it, just think about something else, you know, like I don't like, and this is also me being not knowing what's going on. In marriage you have history with people, so you're thinking, it's other personality traits. And then on top of that, we're all busy, right? Like I'm thinking like, I can't deal with this right now. I have clients to help, or I have things to do. And so I was in a space of kind of like just not responding well.
Mm-hmm. Frustrated. This has never happened before. He's been together a long time. He's super fit. Like that's how you met him, was he was a tennis pro, right?
Yeah. Well, I've actually known him my whole life, really. He and my sister went to school together, and so like I always knew him and his family. But
that's right. Yeah.
He's always been like, and that's something that we had common ground on, was just we've always worked out together. Like we are, we both were on the same page with like how we ate and like what we wanted to do for our health. And something, again, I was so thankful for. It was just feeling like this extreme of, I'm like, I don't understand like what's happening to you. So he just really continues to get worse and is super struggling, reaches out to some friends of ours, and slowly from that point he just began like actually isolating himself from me and would not like answer calls. And because I was unknowingly, I was like kind of like
adding fuel to the fire, maybe?
Yeah, I was hurting more than I was helping.
And you didn't
know.
Because
that was my heart.
No.
I truly did not know what was going on.
Right.
So, on one hand, he's telling me some things, and on the other hand, he's really shutting me out, and he's like confiding more in some close friends, which, at the time felt really hurtful, because as his wife, I just wanted him to talk to me. In retrospect, I'm super grateful for friends that were there to listen and just be there for him when I was, not in an understanding space. So fast forward about a week, and I'm shipping him like books and sending him like cards and like words, and just like I'm finally realizing something's not right. Still a lot of questions, but I'm like,
well, maybe you're thinking this is more serious than what I thought it was going to be.
Absolutely. But at the time, I still didn't realize the magnitude of what it was going to be, or that, my shift to kind words weren't going to change it either. Because even though I made a shift in how I was caring for him and trying to help, and, of course I was like, try this smoothie, or like
yeah, that'll change things.
Yeah, like anything I could think of, it was like sending him books and like, I love you so much, and prayer, yes, all the stuff. Like I'm now in the battle to help him and love him through it, even though I still don't really fully understand, but I'm like, let's figure it out. And so that was kind of the beginning of us starting the process of so many different types of doctors, like, which the specialists are really hard to get into quickly, which we needed some like quick answers, but trying to like find psychiatrists, endocrinologists, because he does have thyroid issues, or he doesn't have a thyroid at all. So he's on thyroid medication, And I had a really like gut instinct that had a part of it the whole time.
Yeah.
But a
Did
lot of
it?
the like, yes,
Okay.
it was definitely the culprit of like why it started. But I couldn't get anyone to listen to me because of the symptoms he was having. They were not connecting the dots. But I just like, I knew it was like a mom's instinct, but for my spouse. But you just,
Well, you took the facts because he had changed his medication right before that.
yeah,
Your thyroid affects your pituitary gland and your emotions and
Yeah.
your hormones and everything.
Yeah. And I had known, so when we first started dating, he had experienced, this is when he found out he had thyroid cancer, and he had experienced major social anxiety, which that was my first, I'd never even heard of such a thing. You know, I didn't understand then either. But that, once he addressed the thyroid cancer, had that removed and got on medication, that never came back. He was okay. And so that's why but I put two and two together. I'm like, I've seen this before in a different way a little bit, but I knew that was at least part of the root of it. And so we went to multiple family physicians, ERs, tried really hard to get into endocrinologists, finally would get appointments. There was, at one point, we finally had an appointment with an endocrinologist, and he ended up having such an episode that day that I had to take him to the ER. So we couldn't get to our endocrinologist appointment. And it was just this like cycle of all these roadblocks and not feeling heard and people not really like listening. I mean, at one point, one of the doctors said, you know what, you just need to think different thoughts. And we were like,
yes,
if it was that easy, yes, that would be amazing.
It's it's I can't even think of the word because surprising just doesn't do it for me. But when Miles was in the hospital, because he was an adult, they could have released him at any time once he was cleared physically. And so we were like, you have to give him a psych test. We have to have that. It was so important. And we finally got it. And the guy asked him 3 questions. Did you try to kill yourself? Yes. Do you want to right now? No. Are you going to? No. Okay, you're cleared. He's not mentally ill. This is what the hospital said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the care, and I genuinely don't believe that people, you know, whatever type of physician, or if they're in the healthcare realm, I don't believe that they have bad hearts and they don't want to help or that they don't care. I mean, maybe some don't, but I believe that there's so much misinformation, not enough information, just really like such a lack of understanding, which I get because, like I said, that's where I was at one point. Like, I just didn't get it. And
you don't even know where to go.
There's no like, oh, let me Google, where do you start when this happens? There's no such thing. It's not like saying, like, you know, what do you do when you break your leg? I mean, it's like, it is all like uncharted territory. And it is, the crazy thing is it's so time sensitive and it's so critical to get good help quickly, but it is impossible. Like, this process went from August to, I finally found some help for him. October 15th was when we were able to take him. And I don't know if many days more if he would have lived, because it was progressively getting so much worse. He was in a state of psychosis, and that was induced by how far off his thyroid was. Like, it was way off, which was also some negligence on another physician's part in the way that they changed his medication and didn't tell him.
This is, oh my gosh, girl, I can't.
So just unpacking all those things, living with a lot of guilt myself for not knowing what to do and for not always responding right. But it's incredibly taxing on a caregiver. Like, it's exhausting because you care so much and you want to find the answers and you want to do the right thing. And you're also just literally, there were moments I was physically holding him up to walk. Like, every second of our day was about, how do we get him through the next moment? And
I know how you feel.
I know you, yeah. And which is really wild to me, because to be honest, during all of that, I tend to, have issues sometimes with overthinking things, but you and I had not spoken in a while, which was kind of, I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time together always because of just life and living in different cities, but we had not spoken for a while. And I remember starting to think, I think she's mad at me, or, the silly girl thoughts that you have, just that like something different is wrong. And then come to find out you're walking your horrific journey at the same time.
At the exact same
we're
time.
on this
It's unreal.
path, which I don't believe is, I
An
mean,
accident.
it's not no, not at all. And thank goodness, I don't even remember how we initially reconnected again, but
I think it was through Mayanne.
probably,
Yeah.
because she's the one that let me know, what was, to a degree, what was going on. She's like, she's going through a hard season too. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And none of this is about me. I mean, what you get in your head, like,
for real.
It's like people are just going through life, and
Yeah.
stuff is hard, and you got to check on your friends, and you got to just not make assumptions. And
being in the position that you were in, it's like you're just trying to get through your day. You're trying to keep your loved one alive and find answers, and you can't think about anything else.
Yeah, you really can't. And there's not a lot of outside support there either. Like you're walking a lot of it alone, even emotionally. Like people just don't understand, and you're trying to protect your loved one for their dignity and my husband is the most hardworking, kind, like I mean, if there's an example of just like a good, kind, normal human being, he's never raised his voice ever in my presence. I've never heard him. He's just consistent and solid and this like amazing person, and for the world to see him any different, I never wanted to present him in this light of like, oh, your husband's gone crazy, and
Right.
It's like, although
it's almost
it was
like, look, it can happen to anybody.
anyone.
I mean, this man who I've known, just everything you're saying, I mean, from an outsider looking in, he wins the award for like the nicest guy in the world. Just like so loves his family and good man.
Yeah. Diligent in his health, like diligent in his faith, like absolutely not perfect. And he's grown immensely over the course of our marriage. Like, but just generally speaking, like he didn't do anything to get this or deserve this or go through this. Like,
yeah,
to
it wasn't
walk through
drugs.
This,
it was
no, like,
out of the blue.
Just, we truly believe that there's, absolutely a purpose behind it, and that God will use it. And certainly he would absolutely never want to suffer through it again. But he's willing to take what he's gone through and try to help. And it consequently actually ended up creating a better marriage and relationship for us, and just we are better people in general for it, because both of us have so much more compassion and just
patience,
gratitude for huge. Everything big and everything small, because you just realize like life can change quick, and there's a lot harder things than like sitting through traffic or something stupid that could like make you go berserk at one point in your life. You're like,
and you feel so silly for looking back and getting upset over some really minor things. You see things a lot differently,
for sure.
So October, what happens? You finally got him some help.
Yeah, so we such a cool God story in that too. And just of course I was I was doing all the things I could do physically, research, like just trying to figure everything out, trying to find doctors, doing all this stuff. But I was simultaneously praying, begging God. And I can look back now, I have all these prayer notes in my phone, and just seeing how desperate I was and how he did actually come through with answers for us. And I didn't always see it in that very moment, but over time, I was in such a space of like, I either was afraid, I just was afraid we were going to lose him. Like, that it was really so far beyond my capacity to do anything. I could barely like keep him alive anymore. And, but we had visited some places that I was like, I also was like, I cannot leave him here. I cannot leave my loved one here. Like the care, it was terrifying to think that I was going to leave him there. And so, but I also knew I couldn't continue this. So I was actually I found a place in California and I was trying to get him out there. So I knew I couldn't get him on a commercial flight and have him last through 3 hours. Like, there was no way. So, or just even through the airport, I probably couldn't have gotten him on the plane. Because he was still like just severe anxiety and these intrusive thoughts. He was weak. He was getting like frail and just, it was just really bad. He didn't sleep for almost 3 months. I mean, awake constantly, which was perpetuating.
Yeah, and that makes it worse.
Yeah. So I'm at this point of desperation. I think of a friend who I knew had his pilot's license, and I'm like, I'm going to call him and see if he can get a hold of a plane and get us out there. So oddly enough, I call him, and he happens to work in the same building with a lady who is literally all over, or over all of the state of Texas mental health facilities. Like, I can't even describe exactly what her job is, but she knows in detail like what they're all about, and like knows who runs them, like what, So he connects me to her. She very graciously at 8 p.m. at night, not during her working hours, like she calls me and walks me through all this, and she's like, do not get him to California. Like, I know where you need to take him. And it wasn't covered by insurance. So also, by the grace of God, like, we were able to pay for it. And that's something that's on my heart a lot, because not everybody can, but there's a lot of people with the same need, and not everyone can access that kind of quality care. And I know that it saved his life. It was, a full team of 7 people, like a social worker, a psychiatrist, just like a nurse practitioner, like just a whole team. I mean,
and this was a manager
in Houston, and I can't speak highly enough. And they're, for our experience, it was amazing. And I felt, I mean, the minute he went in, the very first night, he was prayed over and loved on. And it wasn't even just like, the expertise of the physicians. It was also just the people there and their heart and the way that they cared for him. Then I finally felt like he was safe, and
I've heard a lot of great things about that place.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And to finally feel like
you had help,
you have help,
support,
and that there's actually hope, that somebody's actually really going to look at what's going on and help you figure it out, and help not just, and I am not against using medication as needed or as part of the plan or a tool, like, I'm not, and we've had to do it, but I refuse to just like hand over this once healthy, thriving man and be like, just drug him up so he's, still not coherent, but he's not ready to kill himself,
Right.
I knew there had to be better and deeper answers, and I knew I had exhausted all the resources I had, and I did. I felt like I was at a space where I couldn't even keep him safe anymore. So to just feel like you could safely hand someone over to people that were not going to just dismiss him as a number and shove him in a room and throw out some medicine and be like, we did our job, but they really cared, and they worked with them, and he met friends in there and people who very, very high level, high functioning people. Like, the stress in this world, you think people, they're a physician, they're a professor, they're a professional athlete, they have it all they're hurting too, and they're struggling, and they need help, and they need answers. There's no person too high, and there's no person that's, you know, too low, I guess, or, you know, like, there's just an immense need for this kind of help across the board, like, as normal of a person as you can think, and as, like,
it doesn't discriminate.
No, not 1 ounce. And so that aspect of it was good too, that he, I realize now that's such a part of all of our healing and just general health, is just connection, and connection to the right people, and being able to talk and share and, like, be vulnerable. And, you know, it's not fun to share with people, like, the hard things that you're going through, or, you know, especially to that level, you know, it's,
I'll never forget one time, it was back in Houston when we were living, and we had a friend, and it was the friend where you do the play dates, right?
Yeah.
And I had suffered through postpartum depression 5 times.
Yeah.
So I knew what it was. I knew how to write it out. I knew how to self-care at that point. And she had come over, and I remember she said something to me, and I decided to open up to her about it. And the first thing she was like, I was so shocked at her reaction, because it wasn't, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I've felt like that before. I wasn't looking for, you know, this big thing. I was just letting her know, hey, I've been kind of going through this. So if I'm acting whatever. And she just was like, you know, I've never been able to understand people like that. I've never felt that way. I don't know what that is. And, you know, I had a conversation with my sister about this once, and she was telling me that she was feeling like that. I told her, just snap out of it. And she left.
Yeah.
I was like, she didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, I have family members that couldn't get out of bed that were amazing people. It's not a choice.
Right.
Sometimes we do choose to wallow in our own stuff and stay depressed and go through all the lists and have a party with our, you know, feeling sorry for ourselves. But we need to be able to have people to talk to.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I'm glad about all of this discussion, I'm hoping people, if there is still a person out there, because this was like 18 years ago, we didn't have a lot of information.
Right.
But maybe it'll, you know, open someone's eyes and ears up to maybe not be so insensitive.
Yeah.
Because for that person to actually admit it out of their mouth to you
takes a lot of courage.
Everything they had and trust in you as their friend.
Yeah. And to dismiss it just totally invalidates what they're going through. Or they already feel so much shame anyway. I mean, my husband had to work through, I mean, even though it was nothing he could control, he had to work through a lot of shame of, like, what, you know, just not being able to care for his family, and, like, you know, having to get help and being in that space, and
being a man, being a provider for his family. That identity that they take on.
And that was, you know, that was, you know, really not the first experience in our family with some mental health issues, but I can say that backing up to when it started, you know, becoming something that was this ongoing message God was trying to get through me, or to me,
through past experiences, you mean? Like...
Yeah, through things with, you know, other people in my family, where I too was like, I don't know, I mean, I've had hard things, and I just, like, you just keep going, work hard, like, just get over it, you know, like, there's, and like you said, there's a place for that. There's a place for responsibility for ourselves and ownership in what we are, you know, supposed to do in life. But there's a big difference in a real illness or suffering, and we would never in a million years tell a diabetic or someone with cancer, or, like, suck it up, just, you know, what's your problem? Like,
come on.
I've never had
that.
Like, why can't you just get over your cancer? You know, like, it is an actual illness. It is an actual, like, there are many different problems going on. It's not any one thing, I guess, and everybody experiences, like, there are different types of mental health, I guess.
Mm-hmm. In extremities, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So it's, but sometimes, yeah, it's like, I mean, just get over your chemical balance, or imbalance,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's just kind of an overarching attitude for some reason about mental health. And then the other side of it is just the hide it, suppress it, like there's shame around it there, and it's like, I wouldn't feel shamed to say my child has diabetes and we could really use some prayers, and I really don't know what I'm doing with this disease to help her, but if y'all have any tips, or if anybody can help, or if you can lead me in the right direction, somebody please help me, But whenever it's related to mental health, it is like, you can't announce it, you can't ask for help, you can't, I mean, not without some judgment and and a lot of misunderstanding. So that, like, and my heart is not even to judge the people that feel that way or are judging. It's just to create some awareness and some eye-opening about how you respond to people. Like, you could even just listen, even if deep down you still don't understand. Just listening can be the most powerful thing for someone that's suffering. Like, because like you said, like, they've got all this stuff bottled up, and for them to get to just open up and share can be a huge part of their healing.
Oh, absolutely.
So and that's a space that I work on in myself, because I haven't experienced extreme mental health issues in my own body, but I have witnessed the destruction and the pain and the hurt and the suffering in other people very dear to me, and I had to learn and grow and figure out how to help and respond, and so anyone can, like, wherever somebody's at in that journey, like, you can learn, like, you can learn how to do better, and you can learn more about it even if you don't understand it now. And it really starts with just listening and just deciding to have a heart of compassion instead of a heart of judgment, and
yeah. So how long was he in there?
He was in there for 7 weeks. So yeah, he got to come home right before Thanksgiving, which was amazing. He was definitely still not like 100% himself when he came home. Like, the journey continued for his healing, for sure. He, to this day, I mean, he still has to do, he knows what he has to do every day to, like, manage, and to feel good. Nothing to the extreme at all of what he felt when he was in the thick of it, but there's a lot of gratitude for the healing and for getting, over the humps, but there's always a little bit of fear there too for both of us to ever go back. It's so any little thing that feels off sometimes can be super scary, and you can want to just,
go right back there where you were, like, emotionally, because it's so fresh.
Yeah, it's an actual trauma. I
mean,
it's
a trauma
for sure, and your body doesn't know the difference in it happened 2 years ago to you think it's about to happen again right now.
Yeah.
And it feels the same, and it
sure
feels
does.
Terrifying in different ways for both of you. But yeah, I mean, the manager clinic helped stabilize him, helped, a protocol. Like, he did, I always forget the name of these treatments. He also did some, their brain stimulation treatment. I feel like it's like EMR, I want to say.
EMDR?
Is that the tapping one or no?
EMDR is the one where they take you. Erin does this. She's a therapist. You have to be a therapist to be able to do that. And they wouldn't do it with Miles because he was in psychosis, but once he was out of psychosis, they take you through it. And it's supposed to be just a game changer. She lost her baby by drowning.
Wow.
When the baby was 18 months old, this therapist. And EMDR saved her Erin's life by being able to move on and move past it. And so now she's a therapist and actually helps people with that.
That's amazing.
Is that what you did or he did?
I think so. I think so. I know that it was they had like a cap on his skull and had like these it only gets to like the gray matter, I believe. Like it doesn't the brain stimulation. I think it is the EDMR because the initials that are coming to my mind are too close to that for it to be. I don't feel like it's something different. But anyway, that was part of his treatment protocol. Of course, they were able to find some medication to help like stabilize his thoughts and like work with that. And he's been able to wean down to really low dosage of that. It's not, which is amazing. Like he had to use what he had to use initially, but he was able to wean down off of that. We stay very on top of his thyroid now, and really only use very trusted physicians and resources for that, because it can be, I don't know if people realize how much a thyroid can really like wreck your body or make your body feel amazing. Like it's it's like the central control system in the brain. Huge. So people would kind of look at me funny when I would even say like that was part of the thing, and I was like, no, it's very powerful. And so that's just another thing I would encourage of people just to get labs done. Like if you feel off and in any way, like just don't hesitate to get labs done and really seek somebody that will look at what's going on.
Yeah, because even my mom, she has hypothyroidism. And that was one of the reasons why she was in bed for 6 months. She didn't know. And part of hypothyroidism is depression. And so it's all connected.
And people can think, oh, I'm just being lazy, or I'm just,
or why am I depressed? Yeah, everything's like great.
You physically cannot function in the way that you're meant to, or feel the way that you want to feel, if those systems are not intact. And so I just anxiety, or if you're depressed or something, there's so many systems in your body that can contribute to all of that, and can all this with even just like what you're eating and your gut health, and like there's just so many things
you can help.
Absolutely.
Enzymes. Have you heard of the Amen clinics?
Yes. Yeah.
And so someone had told me about that. A friend, she took her daughter there. It was great. It's really expensive. They do the brain scans. They can tell you exactly, if you have the money and the time.
Yeah.
I would recommend going to do that. They're in Dallas, Chicago, LA, New York, and maybe one other place. And so they have supplements, and that's where we tried probiotics for the brain. There's specific probiotics that are made for your brain and for other things, like your gut or whatever. And so we did a lot of that. Lion's mane, mushrooms, amazing. I would recommend going to your doctor, and what you're already taking. I don't want to recommend anything. You are your own advocate. I am not a medical doctor. However, I do believe in supplements and researching them, going to Amen clinics, look online, read their blogs. Their blogs are amazing. You'll learn so much, and they give you great tips, not just for supplements, but for exercise routine, learning more information about it. So that's another really great resource.
Amazing resource.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned them, because that was actually the first clinic that we tried before I sent him to Manager. I hate to say sent him, because that honestly sounds like I didn't just dump him off. But before he went to Manager for treatment, but it was an amazing tool. He was in such a state that we couldn't even get him past part of the process of diagnosis, and like you have to sit still and have some tests done and things, and so his experience there, he was not in a state to even have them help him get ready to understand how to treat him. That makes sense. Like he was like, he couldn't even get through all the tests. So he was just at a different level. That said, I have a family member who has suffered from addiction for 10 years now, and been clean for almost a year, but is currently using Amen Clinic, and like mind-blowing, helping her
really
to like even though she had been clean and sober for like 9 months, like the addition of this treatment is addressing so much deeper than just she did
here's
drugs,
a Band-Aid.
right?
Yeah.
And really, like, it's so awesome to watch, because she's feeling better. She doesn't even like to not eat clean anymore. Like it makes her feel bad when she eats bad, or like she is so aware now of how she's fueling and helping her body. And it's really cool, because addicts hurt their body for a good period of time. Like they're in a mindset of being okay with essentially hurting their body, and then to see them learn how to want to heal their body, and to and that clinic actually really got her like to a whole nother level of there's some treatments they did on her, but even just the supplementation and the things that she's putting in her shakes every day and all these things, and like working to heal her from the inside out.
I love hearing that.
Yeah. So
it ended up helping my friend's daughter as well. So
yeah, so there are some good resources out there, even though we've talked about there's maybe not enough, or it can be challenging to find the right thing. But
and one of the reasons Amen Clinics we didn't use it is because they're busy, girl.
They are.
Like when you can call on the phone, you can talk to someone right there. And they were so great. However, they're like, okay, in 2 months or in 3 months, we got our first opening. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot. I need something right now.
Yeah. We had waited a month for the appointment, and he had progressed so much by the time we got in for the appointment. It was like, it was useless at that point for like I said, like, that wouldn't be the case for everybody, but where he is, or where he was with his journey, we weren't able to utilize that at that point. Like he just needed something so much, bigger.
He needed an intervention coming in, big help.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, but that said, I know they work with, it can be something like ADHD, or it's not always just someone who's in a like crisis situation or a major trauma. Like they can work with things that are, maybe not as urgent or like smaller scale, but they're important and they're life-changing when somebody can get the right help,
so find it early,
right,
too, before it progresses to get worse. So how is everything today? How is he doing?
He is doing amazing. Very healthy. He honestly amazes me. Like I said, when he first came back, like he was still a different person than what I had known before. Because too, I mean, he was on more medications at the time, and that can just, alter like your energy level, and just,
they're not the same.
No, he was different. And so with time though, like, I mean, he was just so diligent to do the work, and there were days where he was so tired and did not want to get out of bed, but he always did, and he just he was very driven to get better for us, and to just return to feeling more normal and more like himself. So I will say, as he was able to like take a little less medication and get some of that out of his system, and his energy levels would come up. And I mean, he's utilized you know, testosterone supplements, and you know, he all types of different supplements that he uses to just like, you know, he never misses his green juice now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's probably as fit or more fit than he's been in like years. He feels good. Our marriage is amazing. And I think if there's like, I think probably the best change, for us, like, we are a beneficiary of the change, but just for him, like, for so many years, because he was such a, I mean, part of his diagnosis was OCD. And so it made a lot of sense to realize like, oh, that's his consistency. Like, you know, but he's been able to enjoy life, and actually he still is, you know, he's still a routine person. He still like functions well that way. I mean, honestly, I do too. It just was never to an extreme degree, but it's so nice to see him. Like, he still works so hard for our family, and he you know, takes good care of his body. He's like, he keeps our yard in tip-top shape. Like, he does all the things, and he's very responsible. But it's been so nice to see him get to like live and enjoy, and to be excited for life, and not just feel like
struggle.
Yes, like, I've got to do XYZ and this all, you know. And so as much as I don't like what he had to suffer through to get to that point, I'm so thankful that he gets to live in that state of being now. And I know for sure it's definitely, I see that he's a much more confident person too. Like, just, he's a quieter person, but he would really keep to himself a lot. And I've just seen a real, like, I think a lot of it comes from the compassion and the just wanting to see and care for others that he encounters. And so he's definitely, I've seen him be more just connected and vocal, and like reaching out to people, and that's been a blessing too, like that I would have never known could come from like what we went through. But so
sure, it makes all of you just see how great you are together, and then how easily it can be taken away, and it makes you so grateful that you got that back.
Absolutely. And it really just as a wife, like, which I think this is potentially maybe a chronic problem in America for women to I would never suggest that in a marriage you don't have expectation of each other. Obviously you do, and you don't stay in hurtful, toxic situations by any means. But that said, it's easy in this age to be a woman who just wants a husband to just provide whatever everybody else has, and to just, it's almost like they're your little workhorse, you know. It's like, just love me the right way and provide all the things I want and take us on these trips and do this and do that. And it's easy to get in that mode of just expectation of this person, as opposed to just really loving that person, and
no matter what,
period, not for what they can give you or provide for you. And consequently, like, as our relationship has healed in that way, and we've both been able to see each other better, he certainly loves me in a way that he didn't before, and is very when you go through hard things like that, you realize that you really you love each other in a deeper way than just
you're a gift for him,
a gift that someone can buy you, or you know, like, I've told him and I've told other people, when I said my vows of for better or for worse, I mean, if we're all being honest, when we're standing there, we're thinking
not too worse,
basically for better, you know, like, when worse happens, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, did I mean that? Like, can I really be here for the worst? Can I do it? And the answer is yes, I can, and I did, but I not without question and not without going, this wasn't what I wanted, God. This wasn't what I planned. Like this, all of a sudden, everything that was maybe annoying to me about him, I was like, I just want him back. I just want this person back. Like when you almost lose someone, you quit having so much expectation of what you wish they would be, and you appreciate them for who they are.
The things that drive you crazy.
Yeah,
right?
It's like, you know what? You know, and most of the time the things that drive me crazy are also, they stem from the same thing that I love the most. You know, I love the consistency and the safety and the security the most.
Yeah.
But also sometimes I'm like, can we not be on a schedule, because I'm a spontaneous person, and you know.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to learn to, like, you can't love it on one hand and hate it on the other. You just got to love the person for who they are and how they are, and learn to work together. And anyway, I just think that for us, it was like we both realized we had more of a treasure in each other than we ever realized before.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Well, I believe it's because of who you are. Because, you know, there are a lot of people that have been in that same situation and they leave.
Yeah.
Because there's no hope,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's a lack of faith.
Yeah.
And you had hope in the Lord. You had faith that it was going to work out, because it wasn't looking good.
No.
And, you know, without the right help, people stay in that mindset for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And with hope and your perseverance, I mean, that's why. And God renewed the marriage, all of it. I'm so happy. It's
too.
amazing. I'm so proud of you and him, and the courage to be able to speak out. And you have your own thing even before all of this, Live Well by Keri. And you are a health advocate, yogi, meditation girl, like all the things.
It's really, like, again, there's never coincidences. I think it's so cool how God just works, and he works in all these little details. But it's funny you mentioned that, because today is actually kind of an official launch day of me becoming 100% a health coach, and like full on launching my business, and no other side gigs.
This
Nothing.
is it.
Just this is
Yeah.
it. This is my.
Because Keri is very talented. And she's good at a lot of things. Her and I've always, she's an instructor, I'm an instructor. She's always taught classes. She's always one-on-one trained people, me too. So we've always had each other to talk, encourage, cry, complain, whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
And it's been a journey, and this is just what I expect of you to do. So if you're looking for a health coach, is your website is www.livewellbykeri.com.
Yep, that's
so
it.
it's live, L-I-V-E, by
Live well.
Live Well. You say it.
Live well by B-Y Keri, KERI.com.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
So when I call you and book your services, what do you offer?
So I kind of arrange primarily, if somebody wants to work one-on-one with me, it's going to be a virtual session, and it's going to just honestly include, there's nothing I do that's about a specific diet, or certainly won't have anything to do with a fad or anything like that, but just really like customized one-on-one coaching to get to the root of wherever you're stuck. If you're stuck in eating habits, or just a certain way that you feel, then we'll look at that. If it is the consistency of being able to move your body, then we're gonna address that. If it's both of those, we'll do both. But it's like the big thing for me is like what I love nutrition, period. I believe that food can heal the body, and I think it's such an important piece of our life, both for our health and for celebration. But also, like, nourishment is so much more than what we put in our body, and it's
eat your medicine.
Yeah, it's your whole it's your whole life. Like,
Yeah.
are your finances out of whack? Are your relationships out of whack? Are you connecting with people? Are you getting sunshine? Like, just all the facets. And I've been a person, I've been all about wellness since I can remember. It's ingrained in me. It's how God made me. I couldn't continue to ignore it if I wanted to. Like, it just is there. That said, I haven't had a perfect health past, or like, I've been stuck in places. Like, I am human, and I have had spaces where I felt stuck, and that's just so normal. I don't care who is out there on the internet that looks like they are the perfect picture of health. Like, even if they kind of are now, they probably weren't always. Like, we all are kind of on these journeys of like, maybe I always do well with eating, but you know, I really cannot, for whatever reason, I can't get myself, to move my body. And so that's kind of what I help people dig deep and figure out what's going on, and then customize a plan and be that accountability and that source of help. Sometimes I'm the source of help, and I can find the answers. Sometimes it's just I've got, the connections, whether it's a functional medicine doctor or a thyroid specialist, or whatever I'm seeing that's going on with somebody, then sometimes I'm not the answer. Like, we work through what we can work through, and then I'm going to connect you to the right resources.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a combination of both. So
what's a good email address? Because they could email you, and then maybe you do like a 20-minute free assessment or consultation. Yeah, so they can email
because
you?
that way, we can kind of both see if it's a good fit. And some people just, I am capable and have the expertise to just write out an exact diet plan for you if you just wanted to lose 10 pounds. Like, I can do that, and we could address that. Absolutely. Like, weight loss can be part of it, but my goal is to help people make lifelong change that they can implement consistently, and not just feel like I'm just doing this diet of deprivation. And so, yes, I lost weight, but it's not sustainable, and I'm not really happy, So my goal is to make all those things happen and make shifts happen so that people can get to where they feel great and feel like they look great and they feel happy and joyful and fun, and not just like, look at me, I have rock hard abs, but the rest of my life sucks. Like,
and the other thing is, training people for so many years, like you and I both have, people think that it's the answer to happiness, literally. Like, they get so excited because they know in 2 months that they're going to be feeling good, and they're going to be down some weight, feel stronger. And it's true, and you are, but just because you reach that goal, that's not,
it's a piece of the puzzle.
It's just a small piece.
Yeah, but it's super important to look at all those pieces. And that's where I feel like certainly there's an education piece there for me, but there's also just, that is God's gift to me to use to help other people dig deep and figure it out and get some answers for what's going on. And that's not, like I said, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor either, and I don't have all the answers. I do I just customized a eating plan for my daughter who suffers from PCOS, and it totally helps. It radically changes like how she feels and how her body responds. And so there's definitely things like that I can do, but it's just not a like, here's a 4-week diet and you're going to have your ultimate body in 4 weeks. And, it's just a bit of a deeper dive. So
yeah, and you can be that accountability person. Everybody needs that.
Yeah.
So I'll put all of this information in the show notes.
Yeah.
But what is your email?
Oh, email is also livewellbykeri@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm just checking on some. Yeah, that's good.
So yeah.
Sweet.
So pretty simple. And then my Instagram handle is livewellbykeri, so you can find me there too. launching some stuff today, and
You are
putting myself out
I
there to help.
like it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So,
It's gonna be amazing.
yeah,
This is
I'm
what
excited.
you should be doing. I know it.
Yeah,
Feel it.
it's been a journey. I've started and stopped many times, and that's another part of my message is you just got to keep going.
Just keep doing what.
Yeah,
you
and
need to
you're gonna
do.
have, you know, obstacles and seasons that could potentially stop you, but
Yeah,
when you're meant to do something, you just got to do it.
that's right.
So,
Well, I can't wait to have you back on here,
yeah,
and we can talk some health stuff
yeah, I'm
because
excited.
there's so much to talk about.
You're one of my
And-
inspirations and one of my people that gives me the courage to do what I'm supposed to do.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
And you know,
You're awesome.
you've always been like so fit, so
Yeah,
it's always inspiring.
I love you.
I mean,
You're
if somebody can
amazing.
have 5
Just keep
kids,
talking.
if someone
Just
can have 5 kids and
Just
look
keep
like
talking.
this, I'm gonna listen.
I
But you're
love it.
also joyful,
Aw.
even through your pain.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Joy of the Lord. That's what we hang
Absolutely.
on to sometimes, don't
Absolutely.
we?
Gets
And
us
I get
through.
to interview Keri, your husband,
Yes.
probably sometime in August. So
Yeah. Yeah.
be sure
Don't
to
miss
check that out. That's
You'll
going to
want to
be
hear
good.
his perspective.
Yeah. Well, thanks
Which
so
is
much
always
for
different.
coming.
Thank you.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Well, we'll see you again next
Yeah.
time. Bye.
Bye.